What I'd like to demonstrate now is the use of the Conterra smart straps. And these were designed mostly for technical work as well as ski patrol and mountain rescue work. But they found their way into just about every aid car in the United States. And it's a variation on an old D-ring strap format, but done in a smart way with a very strong piece of equipment. And the way we're going to use these is we're going to use the weight centers of the body and the anatomical structures underneath those weight centers, and that's going to dictate how we use the strap. The weight centers of the body that we're concerned with is the upper chest, the pelvis, and the lower legs. Now, when we look at the upper chest, down here we have floating ribs, and so if we squeeze tightly here, we're going to restrict the breathing of the patient. But if we can push up here on the non-floating ribs all day long and they still have good chest rise. So an area like that, we can cut across it laterally and really weld it down. From about here to here is sort of a wimpy band. It's a spot that we don't want to put lateral straps across. So we're going to make sure the straps go at a diagonal there. We move down to the next set of weight center of the body and we look at the anatomical structures underneath. We have the wings of the pelvis. The wings of the pelvis we can strap all day long really tight, and so that's what we're going to do. In fact, we're going to have a couple of lateral straps across there, and that's going to weld the upper chest and weld the pelvis, which is both ends of our spinal column, discounting the head. The third area here is the lower leg weight center. Now the knees are sort of the wimpy band of the lower leg. We don't want to put any lateral straps across there because that's going to injure the patient. So what we'll do is we'll put lateral straps below and lateral straps above, and the whole knee area we're going to have diagonals. And as long as we have some padding under the knees with a slight bend in the knees, we're going to have a very, very tight patient. In fact, this is probably the best type of spinal immobilization that you're going to get of any designed product out there because it has more strap to patient contact. And you'll see that slightly later on when we look at a drop test of these products in a real technical environment. So to start, we're going to deploy a strap. And I'm going to start with this strap just above CPR position. And I'm going to want these lateral straps to be high under the armpit, because if we happen to put the patient in a incline, head up incline, we want these straps to catch under the armpit to keep the patient from sliding down the board. So I'm going to start that way, and I'm just going to find a convenient hole, and I'm going to slide the strap through it. Now I'm not going to knot it or create a half hitch or anything like that. It's not really necessary. What I am going to do is I'm going to run the strap up over the shoulder, and that is going to create a deceleration strap at the shoulder, because at some point we're going to have this patient in an ambulance and we're going to have to be able to protect the head from the mass of the body should we have a deceleration. So what Chris has done here is he's gone down and he's found the bony portion of the pelvis, and that's his landmark for adding another strap board contact. That's perfect. Now we're going to go across, find the other wing of the pelvis, make sure we catch that. And then we're going to bring this back up over the shoulder, which creates our second deceleration strap. And then we're going to pass it through a hole in the board and bring it straight back across. Now these buckles are not D-rings. These are specialized buckles that were made for the military to hold fighter jet wings down on aircraft carriers. They have 1,000-pound braking strength. And so we know that these are good, strong buckles. And all we have to do is pass them through just like a backpack strap. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to just snug this up. We're not going to tighten it all the way yet. But now we have the mass of the upper body should we have to move the patient in an emergency, or if the patient should vomit, we can at least keep the upper portion of this patient in line with the head. Now we're going to do a similar thing here from the lower pelvis down, except we're not going to use deceleration straps. I'm going to find a spot, low pelvis, right about here maybe. and I'm going to go ahead and thread it through. And then Chris is going to find a spot down by the feet someplace. See how we're crossing the knees here? Very well done. And we're going to cross back. You see we're not on the kneecaps at all. All right, the straps are now affixed. What we need to do now is milk out any slack in the straps, and we're going to go from foot to head, and that will remind us that the head is always affixed last. So if we can start sliding down, go ahead and give it a little tug. How's that feel?
It's pretty good, nice and tight.
Okay, we're going to do the next one here.
Deep breath.
So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 lateral straps and 2 sets of cross X's here to hold the patient in place. Now if we really want to make sure that this patient stays put, we can add some tape around the feet if injuries allow. By the way, the nice part about these straps is that they will adjust very well to accommodate different injuries on the patient by simply rearranging how you do the straps. Go ahead and tighten your, just give me some thumbs. There, now the patient can still gesture at us, he can still scratch his nose, but he can't try and climb out and drive the ambulance. The very last thing that we can do is go ahead and affix the forehead right across the paraorbital ridge, right here. That's your landmark. And you can use tape, you can use Velcro, doesn't really matter. Go ahead, pull. And now the patient is firmly affixed to the board with very strong attachment points. And in a technical environment, we would recommend to use this instead of a harness and use the backboard as the harness. But certainly in any sort of rough terrain, over-the-edge type of rescue, this is what EMTs and paramedics ought to be shooting for, just because of the strap-to-patient contact.